Good morning. Good morning. Another wonderful morning here in South Africa, in Gauteng, and the sun is shining. And today we have a fantastic guest who's come to join us. And she's going to answer this really, really uncomfortable question that most business owners need to ask sometime in their career. And that is your business generally ready to scale, or will growth simply expose and multiply the weaknesses already inside it? So many entrepreneurs are out there and we all want to grow our businesses. But the question is, do we have the systems in place to actually run it correctly? And we're going to be looking into this today, and Caroline's going to actually be presenting this to us and how we can actually ensure that we do have the right systems in place to have a successful business. So welcome to the show. It's really great to have you all here. Welcome to the audience. And please, would you, if you have any questions for Caroline, please put them in the chat, and Caroline will have a look at them afterwards. But before we do that, let me introduce our co-hosts. So we're great to have Glenn Jones here. Glenn looks at your purpose in life and to plan your future. So great to have you here, Glenn. Then we've got Mana. Mana is a specialist in short-term insurance, and she's a successful business person in South Africa, and she will be asking some really pertinent questions regarding systems that you need to have in place if you're going to run a business successfully. Then we have Russell John Fagan, who's a sales coach, and he's going to be asking, how do you actually make sales with the right systems in place to ensure that you have a successful business? And then Wilhelm, he's a teams man, and he's going to be talking about how to make sure that you've got the right people in place to ensure that the systems work and that you are successful. So welcome to all our co-hosts. And they're going to be asking pertinent questions to Caroline a little bit later after her presentation about how to actually ensure you have systems in place to ensure growth. So welcome to all of you. And then a great welcome to Caroline. Now, Caroline's got a huge, I tried to summarize her CV into 200 words, 200 characters, and was absolutely impossible. So Caroline has been a banker for 13 years, and then she started her own business. She's in a male-dominant space, but she is making a success, and it's so good to have you. But I'm going to let Caroline introduce herself and also to present. So over to you, Caroline.
Thank you so much, David. I am delighted to be part of this team this morning. I will be going through presentation. Key takeaway points is what are the right systems to employ before scalability, investment, and ultimately the exit strategy that most people shy away or they don't talk about. So I'm very much happy to be part of this team this morning. I will dive in. Now, many entrepreneurs from the outside, they have an image of growth until you take a step in and look at daily operations. And some of the challenges that I've seen working with entrepreneurs, some of the challenges that I've seen working with entrepreneurs are scattered operations, fragmented operations that hinder scalability, and also undermine investment confidence, and the dependence on founders. So you find most entrepreneurs being involved in daily operations, wearing marketing team, legal team, accounting team, and they don't have a centralized software or system that governs their day-to-day operations. Now, the opportunity here is that there's a significant potential to convert these fragmented operations into, number one, a cohesive and tech-driven ecosystem, and also position a business to become investment or funding ready. because ultimately investors seek more than just growth. Investors prioritize scalability, proper systems supported by documented processes, protected IP, and also a robust governance framework. And it is possible to thrive as a small business if you have these systems in place and position yourself for investment. A success story is Paystack. Paystack, an African fintech startup that was acquired by Stripe. Guess for how much? $200 million. So what they did, primarily their goal was to aggregate fragmented payment methods into one single checkout experience. As an entrepreneur, you can ask yourself, or a small business, where do I start? And this is dependent on the industry that you're currently operating in. So you can start by assessing your operational efficiencies. Look within. Look at tasks that are mundane, that are time-consuming. Look at a process gap. Do you have a tech-integrated system? And look at scalability potential. And that will assist you to come up with an integrated QMS system, integrated into a software. There are many software systems out there. There's Zoho, there's Methods, Monday.com. But ultimately, you want to create a centralized database for your company's processes, your project management plans, your client contacts, your leads, where you track communications, where you track your sales and interactions in one place. By so doing, you will replace the messy spreadsheets that most entrepreneurs work on, close deals faster, and more importantly, retain loyal customers. In our space, we operate in the IoT and PLC and SCADA space where we automate mining industries, we automate industries. So from an operational control, you're looking at IoT, your PLCs, your SCADA, and the business impact of these key digital tools. You're looking at a up to 40% reduction in equipment downtime, which is a huge contributing factor in the mining space. From a business management point of view, you're looking at enterprise resource planning systems, CRMs, your QMSs. This will help you integrate operations into one single source of truth. You have your systems where you can log in anytime where you are overseas on holiday, and they will give you a bird's eye truth of operations. And this will help you make clear decisions, data-driven decisions in terms of operations, and instead of relying on intuition. Systems nowadays, you can collaborate. You have systems that can plug in to various softwares, your project management softwares, your cloud storage, which improves coordination and support business scalability. And my most favorite one is protection, cyber protection and IP management systems. So you need to have this in your ecosystem in order to safeguard your digital assets, ensure compliance, and reduce risk. Now, from a small business point of view, you might ask yourself, why is documentation critical? Why do I have to protect my intellectual property? The answer is consistency and quality. You want to reduce errors. You want to ensure repeatable outcomes. You want to position yourself for scalability, and enable, replication of systems, of processes, and move away from founder dependency. You need to move away from founder dependency and train your employees to onboard clients quicker and easy, to onboard your subcontractors if you are in the engineering, the construction industry, to onboard suppliers quicker, you know, and reduce learning curve. In terms of compliance, again, if you are in a compliance-driven industry, ISO standards are important. We work under regulatory requirements in the engineering space and construction and manufacturing industries. So compliance is very important and it needs to be documented. And you want to demonstrate again to investors a systematic and operational business. And in terms of your IP protection, you need to look at protecting your intellectual property. If you have any innovations, if you have any processes that are unique, and you feel that they can add value to any business, you need to create that competitive advantage and increase your company valuation up to 30%. In terms of your trademark, you want to protect your brand name. You want to protect your logo. You want to, have a product identity that distinguishes you from other market players. In terms of copyright, if you are a software developer, if you are in publication, design of any study material, of any material, in fact, you need to look into copywriting your information or your material. And the value that brings to your business is that it can possibly generate revenue through licensing, which many entrepreneurs don't explore. You know, you spend years in putting together systems that work, but you don't use the revenue opportunities that can come from copywriting and licensing your important innovation. Non-disclosure agreements, your trade secrets, confidential business information. You need to make sure you protect the sensitive information, especially during partnerships, during employment and negotiations of contracts. We have seen big guys who come into small businesses to partner, and you know, and these small businesses are left vulnerable because their trade secrets are there and they lack proper systems that protect their intellectual property. Let's dive into corporate structure. Corporate structure for investment. Why does this matter? Why does it matter as a business, as a small business, to put in place a corporate structure that matters? You know, investors evaluate governance and corporate architect as a key investment criteria. You know, if you want to look into raising funds, if you want to acquire funding from DFIs, a proper investment or a proper corporate structure is important. And what investors look for is evidence of systems. Do you have a system documented? Do you have SOPs? Is it techno integrated? Do you have governance and compliance, clear governance and compliance with a clear structure, with a board composition and IP protection? I had, my first board was put together, I think about five years ago. You know, at that point, we were barely making it as a business. But the value that a board brought to my business was enormous. We were able to streamline processes, and put together a robust governance and compliance company. Again, investors look for scalability indicators, replicable models. Investors look for techno-enabled operations. They also look for financial transparency as a small business. If you are looking into raising funds, if you are looking into acquiring some sort of funding that will support your growth, you need to work on your financial transparency. Questions to ask: do I have audited financials? Am I audit ready? And this has also proven that companies who have documented systems, they receive a higher valuation. According to stats, up to a 40% higher valuation. And that's why a corporate structure is important. Again, you need to make sure that your corporate structure is set properly. So you can get services from a legal company secretary, which will put together a trust for you, a holdings company that protects your assets, and put together subsidiaries and make sure that you are building a legacy that you can hand down to your next generation. And that brings me to my next slide, your exit strategy. At some point, you will exit the business. God forbid that you die tomorrow and you don't have proper systems in place and your family cannot take on the business. So you need to start now to think about a succession plan, your next generation transfer. What is your exit strategy? Are you looking at handing your business to your family? This preserves family legacy and business continuity. Or your exit strategy is on business sale, immediate value realization and liquidity. Perhaps you're looking at a management buyout. This will help you retain company culture and leadership continuity. There are many exits. One of them is private equity investment. The key benefits of this will help you grow capital and strategic expertise. Like myself, I'm going through an IPO journey. So this will allow you to access local capital, angel, and African investors, and ultimately list on the JSE. And that does not stop you also to list on the NASDAQ. So there is a reward in terms of putting systems together and thinking through your exit strategy. 90 days plan. I want to leave you with a 90 days plan. You're asking yourself, where do I start? The first month, you need to focus on assessment. You're going to conduct a QMS health check, audit current processes, tech gap analysis, invent IP inventory, and audit your systems. Second month, you're going to move to listing 3 critical processes, SOPs, to your business. You're going to implement essential tools, CRMs, QMS. There are tons of systems, softwares that you can look into. File IP protection, get an IP lawyer. Perhaps at the end of the presentation, my details will be there. I have an ecosystem. I work with IP lawyers of corporate law, company secretary that entrepreneurs can explore. Design a corporate structure. And this is where a legal company secretary would come in. The third month, look into system integration and test your systems. Form an advisory board. There are industry leaders out there that would sit on boards pro bono and support the growth of small businesses. It's a matter of being in the right rooms and having the right ecosystem. Assess your investment readiness and draft an exit strategy framework. I've listed on my previous presentation in terms of what exits options you have as an entrepreneur. And again, the key takeaways from this presentation is to start with assessment. QMS, Health check reveals gaps and opportunities. Start building systems and start where you are. You don't have to start with expensive softwares. Start where you are, start documenting systems, and then integrate that into a software system as you go along. And this will improve your scalability. Protect your assets, protect your IP. This creates a competitive advantage and will increase your valuation, as I've said earlier. Structure properly. Have a trust, have a holdings company that holds all your interest, have an SPV, have subsidiaries, have a proper governance a structure that will boost investor confidence. Plan your exit. Multiple options require different preparation timelines. Think of an ecosystem. All elements integrate into a cohesive and investable system. Remember, the best time to build systems was at founding stage, but the second best time is now. So I've got my, on my last page, I'll open for questions and comments, and my social media platforms, links where we can connect and see how we can assist small businesses. Thank you so much for your time. Dave,
wow.
I'll hand it to you.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely, I can now understand why you have such a successful business, Caroline, because you know what to do.
Not always, but I have the right teams, the right ecosystem and coach.
Absolutely. Surround yourself with the right people. And that's what we're doing here on Vision 2026 is actually getting the right experts to come and share their wisdom. So thank you very much for doing that. Before we go on to the questions from our co-hosts, I just want to quickly just tell you a little bit about what Vision 2026 is about. It's all about giving back. We are here to actually give back to you so that you can actually take the wisdom that is shared on this platform and actually implement it in your own lives so that your growth and your success will be there and it's guaranteed. So please go along and listen, take notes, and if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. What we'll be doing is also, please also subscribe to our LinkedIn or our Facebook or our YouTube channels so that you can get more of this information. Also, if you'd like to become a member, very easy, just scan that QR code there. It will be on the I'll put it onto the actual comments later as well. You can become a member, and that ensures that you actually get a little extra stuff that normally the public don't get, but also you'll get notified of all the speakers that are coming up and so on, so you can follow us there. It's really great to have you here, so welcome to our show, and it's great that we today have got Caroline Vanqa, who's come to join us to tell us how to build the system before you scale. So thanks so much. Really great to have you all here. Please put your questions in the chat. And if you want a 90-day action plan, please go along and put 90-day plan into the actual comments, and we'll send you something a little bit later. Great. So let's go to our co-host. I'm going to welcome Mana. Mana is our expert expert specialist, insurance short-term broker, and she's going to be asking some relevant questions about systems. Over to you, Mana.
Let me help David out there. I'm a commercial insurance specialist. There you go, babes. My question for you, Caroline, is a lot of businesses, and I think it's especially true in a family type of environment, are really reluctant to scale for various reasons, because I want to protect the family business and you know, how were you able to make that mind shift to scale your own business? Because when you start a business, you kind of feel, you know, you work so hard and there's somebody comes in and they just want to share in the profits. So how do you make that mind shift?
As I mentioned earlier, sometimes that mind shift is sparked by coaching. At times on your own, it doesn't really happen that you think about it until you sit with a coach, you sit with a mentor that will ask you relevant questions. Really, how I started, the first thing in my mind was revenue, growth. I was a growth-driven company. Until such a time, the business started to grow and I had to take a step back and look within. And because I work in a regulated industry, I realized quicker that I needed support. I needed somebody who knew more than I did. I needed to employ people who were more qualified, more than I was. And that helped me to put systems in place, that helped me to document SOPs, that helped me to document quality management quality management plans and systems. So sometimes you need somebody to hold your hand, to guide you. And at times it will cost money, but it will be worthwhile as you grow your business.
Okay, so I'm all about risk. So for a commercial risks perspective, what would you say are the early signs, warning signs, that informal processes are creating unnecessary exposure for your business?
Early signs, the popular Excel spreadsheet. When the client calls in, do you run to an Excel spreadsheet to quote? Do you have a rate card that is known to the entire operations team? Or do you quickly go and Google and check, what is the rate market related price for this and that? That is a number one red flag. Secondly, the time to respond to requests, business requests, project management plans. Do you have a system in place that saves you time, that when somebody calls in and say, okay, what is your method statement on a civil site? Or what is your method statement on fabrication, on hot works? Or, we see this a lot in the oil and gas space. You need to have these things in place. So first red flag is having to look for these documents. You should have these documents already in place. In fact, part of your review strategies that every single document should be reviewed on an annual basis. We've seen it with policy changes, industry regulations. You need to make sure that you review and update this information, so as when the client request these documents, they are readily available. If you have to go and prepare for them, if you have to go and prepare a risk assessment when a client requests for one, you already, that's your number one red flag. So yeah, that's where you need to begin. Start putting these together so that you're ready when they are required, or when you undergo an audit.
Yeah, I've never been more thankful for being in a regulated industry, because our industry is changing all the time. So it's actually a given. We have to have record keeping as one of the most important things in my industry. So I'm grateful for that now. So can I hand over to Glenn, who will have a couple of questions for you as well. Thank you, Caroline.
Hi there, Caroline, and thanks so much for the information. Governance is such an important aspect in business, and I think so many entrepreneurs tend to push that to one side.
Yeah.
But one of the questions I have is I think probably someone listening right now has got a small business, maybe 4 to 5 employees, and they're thinking to themselves, isn't all this corporate structure and technology overkill? I mean, I don't really need this at the moment. I'll think about it later. So what would you say to them?
You need it. You need to. That's the first thing. Let's just get that out of the way.
Bottom line.
Bottom line, you need it. Whether it is documented and not integrated into a software system, if anything happens to you today, ask yourself this question: will the business be able to continue without me? If the answer is no, definitely you need systems in place. You need business continuity.
Yeah.
And I know it can be a daunting experience. I mean, when we started implementing our quality management systems and plans, it was a daunting experience. We had to get somebody who was qualified to put these documents together. But this is part of the process. You do it once and you do it right. At a review stage, you don't spend so much time. You're basically reviewing systems that are already in place. And as a small business, let me help you. DFIs, government, and I'm telling you this because I have benefited from these non-financial contributions from government houses. Your GP, Gauteng Enterprise Business Propeller, your NEF, Sasol, will invest in a small business to improve efficiencies. They call it, it's a non-financial contribution. So they will take you through that QMS system. They will hold you by the hand and they will pay the service provider. So you need systems in place if you want your business to ultimately reward you for the time you have put in it.
Fantastic. I think it is important as well that what you mentioned, that I think there's so many options available to people and entrepreneurs at the moment that they don't necessarily know about. Yep. So it's important that you mention that as well. Thank you for that. Okay, my next question quickly. As a founder, how do they remain focused on purpose and meaningful growth without actually introducing unnecessary systems or bureaucracy, specifically at the beginning stages? Because again, I've seen some people go in the opposite route. They put in so much systems in place, they're not actually running the business. So how do you create that balance?
It's business dependent. It depends what is important for you at that time. You don't want to now invest in systems that are non-beneficial to the business. What are key operational requirements I need to make to keep the business afloat?
Okay.
And as I said, start where you are and grow along and introduce systems that will support your existing operations.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to start small and introduce as you go along. You don't want to overwhelm yourself as a founder. You want to choose what works for your business. It's not a one size fits all scenario. Where, and most entrepreneurs are wary of spending subscription fees on all these tech integrated systems. So you need to define what is important for you to keep on generating revenue. And then as you go along, then you can integrate.
Fantastic. Awesome. Yeah. Well said. Well spoken. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. And back to you, David.
Thank you, Glenn. Wow, that was some fantastic hints there on how to actually get some real, assistance in your business, and getting hold of these other organizations, Caroline. And maybe what we can do is list some of those organizations in the comments later on for the audience, so that they can actually maybe go along and see if they can contact those people. Would be great. I'm going to hand over to Russell, who's got quite a good question about where what if a business cannot afford it? Over to you, Russell.
Okay, he's just asked the question. I don't need to do anything else. Actually, I want to change the question slightly. It comes down to the same thing, but I want to give you some background. So currently, I'm also in the space of township economy and growing ecosystems within the township economy. So we've got a training programs with 7 interventions where we go into the SME in the townships and develop that business into a sustainable business, and obviously one that is visible to funding, but from an informal business into a formal business. So what advice would you give someone like myself, or what advice would you give that SME is the most important system to incorporate from day one? Your last slide said that it should have been at founding thing, but it's second best time is now. So even although these SMEs have been operating for sometimes multiple years, to take them from that informal into the formal, what would be the number one system that we need to incorporate in that? Because remember, these guys can't afford to get a whole bunch of advisors and so forth. So we are the people that need to advise them.
Right, that's a good question. That's where I started when I founded my business in 2016. Is that I couldn't afford any software. I just couldn't. I discovered a system on, I think, Zoho, and the second one is Zero. There's Zoho, Zero, and you can start your subscription from 49 Rand. You can start your subscription for 49. That helps you as well, in terms of record keeping. Yes, as you at a founding stage, you might not have the budget for expensive softwares. That's where your Excel spreadsheet works, but if you bank, I don't want to mention names here, but if you look at QuickBooks, number one, that integrates with your banking system, you can run on a free subscription and link it up to your account. And then as you go along, as you steadily grow, then look into an entry-level subscription option, which starts at about 49 Rand. Look into Sage as well. You can start at 99 Rand, 100 Rand. But ultimately, the information is there, to help you record all the daily transactions in the business. Luckily, I work as well with township-based businesses. That's where I started. For the bulk of our operations, we were based in Cosmos City. Our offices were based in Cosmos City. I was running my own business from my house, from one of the spare bedrooms, and I know the struggles of township-based entrepreneurs. So Zoho, free subscriptions, QuickBooks, and that will position you to keep a centralized system.
All right. Thank you. You actually answered the second question, because the second question was what tools will we use? So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thanks, Russell, for that. All these tools are out there, and knowing what they are and actually knowing how to use them is the most important thing. So thanks for sharing that, Caroline. And what we'll do is we'll actually put a list of those different tools into the comments afterwards, so that the listeners and the audience can go along and have a look at those and see what will work for them. A quick story from my side. I've got a friend who operates restaurants in Tanzania, and he was here in South Africa, and he was like was actually staying here for some time. And I said to him, how do you actually control your restaurants in Tanzania? And he's not got one, he's got a few. And he said, all on WhatsApp. So I said, what do you mean? He says, no, I have the right systems in place. I can control it all. So if you've got the right systems, you can be successful. So there we have it. I'm going to ask Wilhelm to talk a little bit about implementation without disruption. Over to you, Wilhelm.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Caroline. This is quite interesting. There's a few things that I pick up as we went along. One of the first things was looking within. So we need to look within ourselves as well. And you mentioned something about mindset and the coach and somebody that help you to change your mindset. I think that's also a big thing. I maybe sit with small thinking myself. We only think about your business now, not thinking about the future and when you exit and all those things. So thank you for opening my mind up concerning that. And then I also think about, we need to build the muscle before we lift the weight. Get systems in place, because then you're ready to lift the weight. Because I find that the big problem is that when we all wish for more business, but are you ready for it? Because the moment when all that business comes, when that big contract comes, then you are in trouble. Then you break not just your systems, but your people as well. And I'm into the people business, so that's the system that I work on, the people system. And I find that lots of times the people can't handle the pressure. They burn out because they are not ready. So we need to build that muscle. And people and politics and all those things are often the bottleneck, although the systems are in place. So we need to grow in balance, not just a big hand or a big head all in balance. But okay, back to my question. How long does it realistically take to implement all of the systems? I cannot afford to pause my business for several months. We must go on. The show must go on. So how do we do that?
Willem, it is a continuous process. So you don't suddenly wake up and, hey, I've got all these systems in place. It is a continuous process. The most important thing that you mention is to look within, the human capital. It is to look in your financial capital. It is to look within. You don't want to burn out trying to explore all these other softwares everywhere. Stick to what works and integrate as time goes on. And integrate, and it takes forever. I'm telling you, there are new systems every day that support entrepreneurs. There are new systems every day that support IPO journeys. So there are a bunch of entrepreneurs out there coming up with different integration systems. So you need to realize this is a continuous improvement of internal processes until such a time you get to an exit strategy, or an exit point where you now have to either hand down the business to the next generation, or you sell the business, or whatever option you have. It is a continuous system improvement. And that's why you have reviews. You have reviews bi-yearly, once a year, every second year, to assess what works. And this is important. You need to assess what works and get rid of what doesn't work. This is an exercise that I've had to do a couple of weeks ago with my accountant. And she asked me, Caroline, let's look into these subscriptions. Let's look into these subscriptions. Perhaps, we need to get rid of some of these subscriptions and look at one or two that works for the business. and that it's a continuous assessment of where you want to get. So it's a non-ending process, Willem.
Thank you, Caroline. Yes, I'm for more than 20 years, I work or I do research on burnout prevention and why people burn out. And I can tell you nowadays, the biggest burnout factor is knowledge, or all this stuff, all this AI, more systems, more tricks, and you get so confused, and it actually drains a lot of your energy. So I think that discernment to really find the right thing, to focus on the right stuff, that is important. And I believe that is what Stephen Covey also mentioned: begin with the end in mind. Think about what you really want to achieve and where you want to go, and then you start with the right things. Okay, just to get a little bit practical again, how should leaders introduce new systems while maintaining team performance, customer service, and daily operations? How should they introduce that new systems? Because there's a resistance to change, so how should you do it?
And the best way, I think, for me, is to get your employees buy-in. It's to get your teams buy-in. They mostly are the ones on the ground. They know the ins and out of the business. They deal with the customers on a daily basis. They have their own frustrations in terms of the current systems. So start with your team. Find out from your team what is working. What are the gaps? What would you want the business to improve on in order to allow you to focus on more important tasks? And this is teamwork. This is where you sit with your team and find out their pain points, and together put together ultimately a system that works for everyone. So start with your team.
Yes, and maybe draw them that picture, that what will come, the fruits that will come with the pain now to change now, because change is difficult. Thank you very much. That was great. Thank you, David. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Caroline. Thanks, Helen. Let's go to Billy. Billy, welcome to the show. It's nice to have you here. It's Billy's going to talk about where do I start. Over to you, Billy.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask that question, but Caroline, you mentioned it so clearly in the presentation in terms of the step 1, step 2. You've actually answered the question already. But one thing I want to maybe add to that is, one thing that actually Valhalla mentioned, that resistance to change. And it seems to me that the life that we are in currently in the world is that change is the constant. Change become the constant. And it's difficult for people to accept that. And when you earlier in your presentation mentioned about if a client wants something and you're looking for spreadsheets, I was smiling because I know that a lot of people are in that reality, But I think maybe if and it's nice to see that I can see that you're already on top of your game. I mean, you practice what you preach, if I can put it like that. I was thinking maybe I could also taking everything into account, ask a summarizing question like, what is the one conversation you need to start tomorrow morning that will create clarity, commitment, and momentum for the whole team?
Yeah, that's a good question. You got me thinking there.
I derived it from Wilhelm's talk.
The one question that, luckily some of my staff members are here and they are looking at me with a smile. And they are waiting for that one question. That one question is, what is currently not working?
Yeah. That's a good one.
because we don't want to fix what's not broken. We don't want to fix what is currently working for us. We want to improve on what is currently working for us. But we don't want to invent the wheel.
You're right.
Yeah, we don't want to invent the wheel. We want to improve on the current systems. So perhaps what can we improve on? And you mentioned something about burnout, and Willem mentioned as well, there is a need out there, constant need for change, and people cannot keep up. And rightfully so, Willem, most employees are exhausted because every day you find companies, or every week, introducing new ways of doing things. And this brings exhaustion in your entire operation. So we know what is working. How can we improve it? And what can we integrate in what is working? And perhaps, I'm big on one-on-ones, whether bi-monthly one-on-ones. This also allows me to just sit and connect with the people that work for us, and connect on a personal level as well, and find out, how's family? Are you okay? Because sometimes the resistance to change is psychologically, it's bigger than the work itself. So sometimes you just need to get on a personal level and understand your employees before you bombard them with a list of things or systems, and so that talks to looking as well within. You want to create a healthy working environment while you are working towards this beautiful company that you will eventually hand over to the next generation.
Well answered, Caroline. I think your staff will be great to that answer as well. No, thank you. I really appreciate that. And yes, as long as we know, as you've answered, we know things intellectually, but we are emotion people, we are gut people, we need to work in the whole system, on the whole internal system. Thanks a lot. Over to you, David.
Thank you for that question. Really great answer. I'm going to go to some questions that have come up on the chat. I'm just going to show this. Gerrit Botha asks, suppose your corporate experience helps you structure the business. What could an entrepreneur do who does not have that background?
Oh, by the way, Gerrit Botha is my mentor. And that's why he's asking, suppose your corporate experience helped you structure the business. Perhaps my corporate experience in finance really has helped me to position my company to where it is right now, But for an entrepreneur who doesn't have the background that I have, the first thing is look for a mentor. And there are mentors out there that will work with you pro bono. Look for somebody. In fact, quick one, let me tell you how I got into the petrochemical industry. I followed a certain mining executive for some time. Every time he was presenting, every time he was hosting events, I was there, until she noticed me. And she took a liking in me, and she said to me, I'll open the door for you, Caroline, and you do the rest. So find that one person you look up to, that one person, and learn as much as you can from that person. Secondly, there are a lot of resources out there. Upskill yourself. Find out, there are learning platforms that can help you upskill yourself, understand the world of mergers and acquisitions, understand IPOs, understand corporate structures, why you need a trust, why you need a firewall company. but ultimately you need somebody to hold you by hand. You need expert advice if you want to grow and ultimately sell your business for millions of dollars like Paystack have done.
Sure. Excellent. Thank you for that. Thanks, Gerrit, for that question. I've got another question for you. This is from Eugene Lubber, who says, very relevant information. My question here is, how do we avoid isolation and align in an orderly manner for organizations to be orchestrated together, each being clear on their specific role to play in the larger picture? We need to deal with isolation and change to collaborate impact. Thank you. So I think it's a bit of a, please go for it, Caroline.
You can only grow so much when you work in isolation. You can only be exposed to a certain information if you grow in isolation. So collaboration is big. We've been able to grow through collaboration, and it takes the founder to actually go out there and start looking for strategic partners. Position your company, knock on those doors, present your company, and become part of an organized group. Yes, join a business chamber of commerce, join a like-minded group of business people who are in the same sector, who are working together to support each other. You cannot grow in isolation. You need to identify an organized group that will help you, to bring exposure in terms of your business growth. Again, in terms of an orderly manner of aligning through collaboration, through an organized business chamber of commerce, you can be able to align yourself with the right people. When you have a mentor, when you have somebody who's holding you by the hand, they can see what you don't see. They can come into the business and see what you cannot see and help you to streamline your processes. Have one-on-ones with your accountant. I have one-on-ones with my accountants every single month. In fact, we were supposed to have one recently, but every single month, sit with your bookkeeper, sit with your accountant, so that you orchestrate a well put together oil machine. No scenario is perfect, but we all are working towards a systematic way of organizing our businesses.
Wow, thanks, Caroline. Thanks, Eugene, for that question. And last question, which I'm going to put up because of time, is from Elmarie. Thank you, Elmarie. Do you have systems that you will recommend for a small business with a large amount of IP?
Yes, so you can look into monday.com, look into Zoho. I love Zoho because Zoho can integrate up to 40 APIs. Yeah, up to 40 other softwares. So it can connect to your Sage, your Xeros, and other systems that you have. So look into Zoho. Again, there are other white label systems that you can customize. According to your type of business. So it really depends on the business need. Are you looking at an in-house system that you can customize, that you can own, or are you looking at a system that you can integrate some of your accounting and project management systems? And if that's the question, then look into Zoho.
Well, thank you so much, Karen. Time is coming past us, and we're actually nearly on the hour. So we normally try and finish by 9, but we can just stay on for a little bit so I can get all the takeaways from each of our co-hosts. I see Eugene has just responded. Thanks, Eugene. He says, wonderful answer. Thank you, Caroline. And then also another comment that's just come up. Also, Elmarie's just said, thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much for those great questions. Thanks, Elmarie. And Tandy also just says keeping up with AI systems is so important. Thank you for that. Let's just go to Mana. Mana, what is your big takeaway from today as far as what Caroline has shared with us?
Yeah, my takeaway today is, and it stood out to me this morning, was that systems are not only for big businesses, and in fact, small businesses may need them even more, because a business cannot truly become scalable or investable while everything still lives in the owner's head. So you have to have systems to be scalable or investable. So that's a big takeaway for me today.
Thank you, Moana. Let's go to Glenn. Glenn, what is your biggest takeaway for today and action point?
Thanks, David. Yeah, I think it's just about creating balance early on in your business as you start. Make it a habit, be consistent. And I think if I had to sum it up in one word for me, it would be stewardship.
Yeah.
Stewardship in every aspect of your business. Make sure you steward that correctly. Thanks so much. Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you so much, Glenn. Let's go to Russell. Russell, what is your takeaway?
I just want to make a quick comment. The Zoho system works quite well. We've got that for Friday Club, and it's really a good system. My takeaway, I think, I'm linking human capital, which is something that came up a bit, not much of it, but I'm linking human capital to the ecosystem, because the buy-in of your people, which is the most important asset you have, cannot, if you don't have that, you won't have a successful system, no matter how good the system is. So I think the linking of the human capital with the system is very, very, always vitally important. Thanks, Caroline. Thanks, David.
Thank you, Russell. Wilhelm.
Just get the button. Okay, yes. I think for me, important thing is build the muscle before you scale, and grow in balance.
Thank you. And Billy.
Yeah, I would say I would start by planning properly as a first step, and then definitely with that, have a sustainability mindset to say that whatever you do is sustainable. And yeah, that's it. Thank you, Caroline. It's great.
Thank you, Billy. So my big takeaway, before we hear what Caroline's big takeaway is that, you know what I find very useful is to have meetings. Now, I know some people, I hate meetings. I think meetings are a huge waste of time, but having a weekly meeting with whatever your business is, with your staff or with your partners, is critical. Now, I do that. I have my weekly meetings. I have a weekly meeting on a Monday morning at 10:30, and I have a weekly meeting at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. So I'm not available at those times with my partners in my businesses. And I find that they are so useful for me because we are continually looking at how to improve, what systems to be put in place, how to improve a system, and so on. And that has been critical to the success of these various businesses. So I think that's my big takeaway. Ensure you have meetings with your relevant partners and get the right people on board so that you can actually implement it. So thank you for that, Caroline. Caroline, what is your big takeaway for today?
Glenn, you nailed it. Stewardship. You nailed it. We've all been given capacity. We've all been given a reason why we are here on earth. It might look like a business, but my business is my legacy. This is what I will hand down to my next generation. This is what I will be remembered from, This is what I'll be remembered for as I hand down the business to my family and ultimately retire. So this talks to stewardship, sustainability, and human capital. That is my takeaway. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Caroline. It's been a pleasure to have you here. So I think the big message today is do not scale fragmentation. Build the systems, the data, the governance, the people, the technology that can carry through the growth for your business. So thank you so much for all of you being here today. I'm going to ask everyone just to stay on until the end. Caroline, we do a quick review after this, so please don't go. And also we need to save the program. But thank you, everybody. It's been great to have you. Thanks to the audience. Thanks to all the people that have participated. I see there's a lot of people that have participated today and asked some great questions. And thanks to our co-hosts for being here and asking very relevant questions and giving back value and wisdom to you so that you can go along and implement what you need to be successful in your lives. Thank you. Take care and see you next week. We've got something really interesting happening next week. Cheerio, everyone. Bye-bye for now.
Welcome to Vision 2026. We give expertise a voice. A platform where bold ideas, lived expertise, and real experience shape how we grow, lead, and create impact in 2026 and beyond. Meet your host, David Bauer, bid architect and strategic thinker, who helps leaders turn complexity into clarity and gives business leaders a voice that wins in the real world. Marna Rowitz, seasoned strategist and business leader, helping people protect what they've built and grow with clarity, resilience, and foresight. Glenn Leese Jones, Map 4 life coach with decades of experience guiding people and entrepreneurs to find purpose, set direction, and map their journey to meaningful success. Russell John Fagan, sales mastery trainer, who brings practical sales insight and transformational strategies that help individuals and businesses increase their influence and performance. Wilhelm Lombard, human systems and team performance coach focused on helping organizations strengthen team alignment, leadership energy, and human systems, so people are ready for growth before growth exposes weaknesses. Together, we bring unique perspectives and deep expertise so you can think bigger, act bolder, and make 2026 your breakthrough year. Hit that subscribe button now and follow Vision 2026 for your weekly dose of expert insight, future-focused conversations, and real-world perspectives shaping South Africa. This is Vision 2026, giving expertise a voice.